My name is Jake, and if I ever wondered where I stood in my family, that question was answered the day I stumbled across their will. It wasn't a dramatic sit-down with my parents, no heartfelt conversation about the future. I found out by accident, a cruel twist of luck that left me standing in my father's study with my hands shaking. 4 years, I had been the one keeping their house afloat. I covered the mortgage when money ran short, stocked the fridge when it was empty, even patched up the roof with my own 2 hands. While my brother Eric lounged around with no job and no responsibility, I was the one quietly paying for everything. And I told myself it didn't matter, that family meant stepping up when no one else would. That afternoon, I was scanning documents for Dad. He never understood paperwork, and I'd gotten used to being his unpaid secretary. Bills, forms, insurance files, I sorted through them without thinking. But then I saw a thick folder labeled, Estate Plan and Last Will. I shouldn't have looked. I told myself that. But curiosity clawed at me, and deep down, a small part of me wanted reassurance that my years of sacrifice meant something. I opened it. And there it was. Black ink on white paper, cold and final. Everything, the house, the savings, the assets, was going to Eric. My name appeared only once, buried in a line that said my parents loved both sons equally. Equally. My chest tightened. I had been paying their bills while Eric contributed nothing, and they thought equal meant leaving me with nothing? My pulse hammered in my ears as the words blurred. It felt like betrayal carved into legal language, signed and notarized. I don't remember how long I stood there staring, but when Dad walked back into the room, he frowned at me. "Jake, what's taking so long?" I lifted the will slowly, holding it up between us like a weapon. "So this is how it is?" I asked, my voice disturbingly calm. "Everything to Eric? After everything I've done for you?" Dad froze, his face draining of color. And in that silence, I knew the truth. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. Dad's mouth opened, but no real words came out at first. Just a long sigh, like I was a child making a fuss over nothing. Finally, he muttered, "Jake, it's not what you think." That line lit a fire in me. I slammed the folder onto the desk, the papers fanning out like shards of glass. "Not what I think. It's written right here. The house, the savings, everything, all of it goes to Eric. I've been paying your mortgage while he sits on the couch, and you reward him with everything? Explain that to me." Dad shifted uncomfortably, rubbing the back of his neck. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "It's complicated." That was it. 2 pathetic words. No apology, no justification, just a weak excuse that only made the betrayal sting sharper. I felt like I'd been carrying this family on my back, only to realize they had already planned to cut me loose the moment they didn't need me. I called out for Mom. I wasn't going to leave until both of them said it to my face. She walked in, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Her eyes flicked from me to the scattered papers, and guilt flashed across her face. But the words that came out of her mouth nearly broke me. "Jake, honey, you don't need the inheritance," she said softly, like she was doing me a kindness. "You have a good job. You're independent. Eric, well, he struggles. We just want to make sure he's taken care of." My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They weren't even denying it. They had planned this. They thought my years of sacrifices meant I'd be fine with nothing, while my brother, the one who did nothing, was the one they wanted to take care of. Something inside me snapped. I set the will down carefully, my voice low but steady. "Got it. Glad to know where we stand." Then I turned and walked out, ignoring their protests behind me. The slam of the front door was like a gunshot, echoing in my chest. For the first time in years, I wasn't just angry. I was done. I didn't go back to their house after that. No calls, no check-ins, nothing. For the first time in years, they were left to handle their own problems. If the sink broke, they could fix it themselves. If groceries ran out, they could find their own way to the store. And most importantly, if that mortgage bill showed up, I wasn't the one paying it anymore. The silence lasted about 2 weeks. At first, I think they assumed I was sulking, that I'd eventually come crawling back like I always did. Maybe they thought I'd swallow the betrayal, laugh it off, and keep footing their bills. But when the days kept passing with no word from me, and more importantly, no financial help, I could practically feel the shift in their attitude. One afternoon, my phone buzzed. A text from Dad. The property taxes are due. That was it. No hey, how are you? No sorry about what happened, not even a shred of acknowledgement. Just a cold transactional message like I was still their personal ATM. I stared at the screen, almost laughing at how predictable it was. They really thought they could just brush this off, that I'd keep funding their lives even after they erased me from their future. I typed back one sentence. I'm sure Eric will handle it, since the house is his and all. It took exactly 5 minutes for my mom to call. I let it ring until it stopped. A moment later, another text popped up. Jake, please don't be like this. We need to talk. Oh, now they wanted to talk. Not when I discovered the will, not when I walked out the door. Only now, when the bills started piling up. I waited an hour before replying. There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. Now you can live with it. I figured that would end it for the night. But I should have known better. Because that's when Eric decided to chime in. Late that evening, my phone lit up again. This time, Eric's name glowed on the screen. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity got the better of me. His message was exactly what I expected. Smug, entitled, dripping with mockery. Dude, why are you being such a drama queen? It's not a big deal. Just help them out like you always do. I nearly laughed. Not a big deal? He was really going to sit there, inheriting everything, and act like I had no right to be angry? I fired back. No. I think you've got it covered, since you're the favorite and all. His reply came fast, like he had been waiting for this fight. Oh my God, are you seriously mad about the will? Grow up, man. It's just money. Just money. The hypocrisy hit me like a slap. Funny how it was suddenly just money, now that it was his to inherit. When it was me covering their mortgage, their bills, their groceries, it sure wasn't just money then. I typed back. Then you won't mind using some of that just money to pay for the mortgage, right? And that shut him up. The screen stayed silent. No dots. No typing bubble. Just silence. A few minutes later, my mom texted me again, this time going full guilt trip mode. Jake, we're your parents. Family takes care of each other. We did so much for you growing up, and now you're abandoning us. Abandoning them? My blood boiled. I had spent years making sure they never had to struggle. Years propping up the house while they coddled Eric and rewarded his laziness. And now that they were finally facing the consequences of their own choices, I was the bad guy. Not this time. I responded. You made it clear I wasn't part of this family when you left me out of the will. Now Eric can take care of you. I could practically hear her dramatic gasp through the phone. She always had a talent for playing the victim. But this time, I wasn't budging. For a while, there was silence. I thought maybe they'd finally gotten the message. But then another text came in, this time from Dad. "We're not asking for much. Just enough to cover the mortgage for a few months until we figure things out." I stared at the screen, my fists tightening. Not asking for much. After cutting me out of everything, after years of treating Eric like the golden child, they still expected me to open my wallet like nothing had happened. I didn't even bother replying. The next day, Eric called. I let it go to voicemail, but he left a message anyway, his voice dripping with arrogance. "Bro, stop being so dramatic. You've always had a chip on your shoulder about me. Just let it go. It's money. Who cares? Who cares?" The words rang in my head like an echo. If it was truly just money, why did they make sure every cent of it went to him? Why was I erased, as if my sacrifices didn't even exist? 2 days later, I ran into him in person. I was at the hardware store, picking up supplies for my own place, when I spotted him in the aisle, leaning on a cart like a king surveying his kingdom. He smirked when he saw me. "Jake. Still mad about the will? You really need to stop being such a drama queen. It's embarrassing." I felt the air leave my lungs, but I didn't flinch. Instead, I stepped closer, meeting his smug stare head-on. "Say that again," I said quietly. His grin faltered for just a second. Then he shrugged. "Whatever, man. You'll get over it. You always do." But this time, he was wrong. I walked away without another word, but something inside me hardened. He thought he could mock me, belittle me, and still expect me to play along. Not anymore. After that run-in at the store, I decided I was finished with all of them. No calls, no texts, no visits. If they wanted Eric to be the chosen one, then he could finally carry the weight I'd been holding for years. At first, it was quiet. Too quiet. But then the messages started piling up again. One night, I came home to 3 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Dad, and a text from Eric that nearly made me laugh out loud. "Dude, Mom's crying. Happy now. You're tearing the family apart just because of some stupid will." I didn't even answer. The next morning, Mom left a voicemail, her voice dripping with guilt and manipulation. "Jake, sweetheart, please, don't punish us like this. Eric isn't as strong as you. He needs the help. We thought you'd understand. Family always takes care of each other." That line, "family always takes care of each other," nearly sent me over the edge. Because I had been taking care of them for years. I was the one keeping the lights on, keeping food in their kitchen, keeping the roof from collapsing. And instead of gratitude, I was rewarded with betrayal. Later that week, I got another text. This time, from Dad. "The water heater broke. Can you come take a look? Eric doesn't know what he's doing." I stared at it, my jaw tightening, then typed back. "Not my problem. Ask the homeowner." A few minutes later, Eric fired off another message. "Wow. Real mature, Jake. You're seriously going to let Mom and Dad suffer just to prove a point? You're pathetic." My fingers hovered over the screen before I finally wrote. "You got the house. You got the inheritance. You got everything. Now you also get the responsibility. Congratulations." I hit send and tossed my phone onto the couch. For the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of relief. But I knew it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The following weekend, I was sitting in my apartment, enjoying the quiet for once, when there was a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone, and when I looked through the peephole, my stomach dropped. It was Eric. He stood there with his arms crossed, leaning back like he owned the place. I considered not opening the door, but I knew he'd just keep knocking until the neighbors complained. So I opened it, but only halfway. "What do you want?" I asked flatly. He smirked. "Relax, man. I just came to talk. You've been blowing up over nothing, and Mom's worried sick. You need to stop acting like such a drama queen and get over it." That word again. Drama queen. He tossed it around like my pain was nothing more than an act, a performance. I stepped forward, narrowing the gap between us. "You think this is nothing? Years of me paying their bills while you sat around doing nothing, and they leave everything to you? That's betrayal, Eric. That's not nothing." His smirk faltered, but he quickly covered it with a scoff. "You're just jealous. Admit it. You've always hated that they like me more. Well, tough luck. Maybe if you weren't so uptight all the time, you wouldn't be the outsider." I clenched my fists at my sides, fighting to keep my voice calm. "You can call me whatever you want, but I'm done carrying you. I'm done carrying them. You wanted the inheritance? You can have it, with all the responsibility that comes with it." For the first time, I saw his confidence crack. He shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting away for just a second. That's when I realized he wasn't built for this. He had always relied on me to clean up the mess, and now that I was gone, the cracks were starting to show. "This isn't over," he muttered, backing away. "You'll regret this." I shut the door in his face. And for the first time in years, I felt like I had finally won a round. A week passed before I heard from them again. I thought maybe Eric had finally realized I wasn't bluffing, that he'd have to handle things on his own. But then my phone buzzed with a frantic message from Mom. "Jake, please, you don't understand. The bank sent a notice. We're behind on payments. They could take the house. You can't just stand by and let this happen." I stared at the text, my chest tight, not from guilt, but from the audacity. The house. Their house. The very one I'd been helping them pay off for years. The very one they'd promised to Eric while cutting me out completely. Another buzz. This time, Eric. "Bro, stop being selfish. You know they can't do this without you. Just step up and help out like always. This is your family, for crying out loud." Selfish. That word made me laugh out loud in my empty apartment. Me, the selfish one. After years of draining my paycheck into their mortgage, while he played the carefree golden child. I typed back slowly, deliberately. "Not my problem. The house belongs to you now. Handle it." Minutes later, Dad called. His voice was sharp, tired, desperate. "Jake, enough of this nonsense. We raised you, we fed you, we gave you everything. And this is how you repay us? By turning your back on us when we need you most." I bit back the anger boiling in my throat. "You didn't just turn your back on me. You erased me. You made your choice when you wrote that will. Don't act shocked when I respect it." There was a long silence on the line. Then Dad muttered, almost like a threat, "You'll regret this one day, Jake. Family doesn't forget." "Neither do I," I said and hung up. For the first time, I realized something. They weren't just depending on me financially. They were depending on my silence, my compliance, my willingness to keep being the background hero who never got credit. And now that I had stopped, their whole world was starting to crumble. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. I was at work when I got a string of desperate messages, all from Eric. "Bro, the bank is serious. They're threatening foreclosure. We're drowning here, you can't just let this happen." If you cared about mom and dad at all, you'd stop being such a drama queen and do the right thing. That last line burned into my chest. Drama queen. He still thought he could reduce my pain, my betrayal, to nothing more than theatrics. That evening, I found myself driving past my parents' house. Not because I wanted to go in, but because I needed to see it with my own eyes. The place I'd poured thousands into. The place I'd sacrificed so much to keep standing. And soon, it might not even be theirs anymore. The lights were on. Through the front window, I saw Eric pacing, his hands flying in frustration. Mom sat on the couch with her face buried in her hands. Dad stood rigid, arms crossed, staring at the floor. And for once, I didn't feel pity. I felt clarity. This was the bed they made. This was the family they chose. And Eric, their golden boy, was finally being forced to deal with reality. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Eric. "You're pathetic, Jake. You think you're proving a point, but you're just showing everyone how bitter and weak you are. You'll regret this when the house is gone. You'll regret it when mom and dad want nothing to do with you. But hey, enjoy your little tantrum, drama queen." I sat in my car, staring at the message, and then something unexpected happened. I laughed. Not bitterly. Not in pain. Just laughed. Because for the first time in my life, his words didn't matter. He could call me dramatic, selfish, bitter, whatever he wanted. None of it changed the truth. I was free. They couldn't use me anymore. I didn't answer Eric's last text. I didn't drive up to the house. I didn't cave the way I had every other time in my life. Instead, I turned the car around and went home, the night sky stretching wide and quiet above me. For years, I thought family meant sacrifice. That if I kept giving, kept showing up, eventually I'd earn the love and respect I wanted. But standing there, watching the glow of that house fade in my rearview mirror, I finally understood. Family isn't about blood. It's about choice. And they had made theirs long ago. In the weeks that followed, I blocked Eric's number. I muted my parents' calls. The silence was deafening at first, but slowly, it started to feel like peace. I poured my energy into myself, my work, my home, my friends who actually valued me. And for once, I didn't feel like a background character in my own life. One evening, I got a message from an old friend. He'd heard whispers that my parents' house was up for sale. Apparently, Eric hadn't been able to keep up after all. I thought I might feel satisfaction, or even vindication. Instead, I just felt nothing. Because it wasn't my burden anymore. Looking back, I realized Eric calling me a drama queen was almost funny. He thought my anger was about money, about possessions. But it was never about that. It was about respect. About recognition. About the years I gave them without asking for anything in return. And if standing up for myself, finally refusing to be used, made me a drama queen? Then maybe I was proud to wear the crown.